Hey everybody, it's Officer Bosco at Police 10-8 Talk. Today I'm going to be going over different types of holsters, duty holsters mainly. We seem to get a lot of questions on duty holsters, firearms, and for some reason handcuffs. And then Monty, that's for you, our handcuff guy. That handcuff one I still can't figure out, but we'll go figure on that one. But anyways, we seem to get a lot of questions on holsters, and I assume that's mostly people that are police officers and security guards and people maybe in the military out there that ask some questions. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over different types of retention, kind of explain what they are, just show you some different examples of them. As you can see by this eclectic range of holsters, this is actually my personal collection. I still have holsters in my house. This is the majority of them, but over almost 18 years of being a cop, I
can't help but notice they're all wrong-handed. So.
Yeah, they're all lefties, so you can obviously tell they're mine and not Officer Joel's. But I've collected a lot of holsters over the years. And basically, like I said, I'm just going to go over retention real quick. I'm going to basically first start off with the holster that I'm actually wearing, which is the Bianchi Illuminator. Okay, this is what is known as a level 1. When we're talking about retentions, and when they're talking about retentions, it's how many different mechanisms of movement that you have to make before you get the gun out of the holster. Okay, usually it'll be there's passive and there's active retention systems. Okay, on this one it's an active retention system, which is basically just a normal snap. This is considered a level 1 because that's the only level of safety retention you have on this gun is that. Okay, this would be considered a level 1. Okay, like I said, it's a Bianchi Illuminator. It's very comfortable. I like it, but like I said, it's only a level 1. So basically I just use this more or less just for court instead of my Black Hawk Epic. But that's basically a level 1, okay? Now what I'm going to show here, this is actually the original. This is one of the first retention holsters designed, or multi-retention holsters. Okay, this is what is known as the Safariland 070, or most people just refer to as the SS3. Okay, this was designed by a guy named Bill Rogers, who worked at Safariland. This was the first, what was considered the first multi-level retention holster. Okay, now it's real unique. I carried this on duty probably the first, I'd say probably 10 years of my career. This is really about the only holster most departments issued. There were Uncle Mike's and a few others, but this was the main one. Okay, now this technically has 3 different retention systems. Like I said, it's passive. There's passive and there's what is known as passive and active retention. Anything like a snap is considered active. On the inside of here, there's a little block that holds basically it goes in the ejection port to keep this gun from moving. That's what we consider more of a passive. Okay, and how you work this holster, it's really easy. You basically take your index finger. You have one snap there. You have one snap here. You hit them both at the same time. Okay, those are your active retentions. Then you have to rock it back. Okay, to draw it. Okay, by rocking it back, you basically bypass what is known as the passive one, which is that internal block. Okay, now when you put this holster in, when you put the gun back in the holster, you have to move it and kind of slightly pull it forward a little bit so it'll activate that block in there. Okay, so on this holster it has 2 active retention systems and technically 1 passive, but it's considered a level 3, which means there's 3 different levels of security on this holster. Okay, I know it's kind of confusing with the retentions. Okay,
and this strap here is just what they call a decoy strap. Yeah. If somebody's not familiar with this holster and they're trying to make a grab at it, they're going to waste their time fumbling here. This is just a decoy.
Because the old holsters either used to have a flap over them, or usually they just had like a piece of leather going across, like what he's saying, like the old Border Patrol holsters, where it basically was just a strap holding it on, and this is where it was at, so anybody could snap it, okay, and get that off. But that also holds the strap for the second snap that you have in the back. These are very popular. Even to this day, there's still a lot of departments that issue these. Alaska State Police, I know, still issues these to their guys just because it's all leather. And of course, in the Arctic, the polymer ones, somebody told me they have problems with them because they can crack because of the severe cold.
Get brittle.
Yeah, whereas the leather, you don't have that issue. Basically, what I'm going to do is go over a couple other ones. I'm going to take my Glock 19 out of this one. As you can see, it is unloaded. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over what's considered a level 2. Okay, now level 2, this is a Safariland SLS, self-locking system. Okay, now it has what is known as a pinch retention, which is this screw at the bottom. I'm not a huge fan of the pinch retentions because essentially all you're doing is you're basically just taking that screw and it's basically all it's doing is literally just pulling the holster tighter. I don't consider that a safety system, but manufacturers do. So Safariland, I think, has this listed as a level 1, but technically it could be considered a level 2 because it does have that pinch retention screw, which you can adjust it in and out. Okay, and this one's real easy to holster. All you do is that, and snap that hood over like that. Okay, Safariland was one of the first that came up with the SLS. It's a very popular holster. I know, like in California, this is pretty much the holster out there. And essentially, to deactivate this one, it's basically, instead of a leather snap, instead of having to fumble with a snap, this was designed so that way if you need to, all you got to do is pull that shut like that, and you're secured in the holster. It's basically to replace the snap, which sometimes you got to fumble around to get the snap to go. This, you don't have to worry about that. That's the great thing about this system. Is literally once you secure that firearm in there, all you got to do is pop that hood back and it's secured. So basically it's designed to replace like the old snaps, essentially. And it's very effective. I carried this holster for a number of years and it works really, really excellent. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over, I guess I'll go.
Why don't you go to the, do you have a SLS ALS?
No, I do not have one of those. Well, I have something called the Raptor. I have the Safariland Raptor. This is not a holster you see a lot of. Safariland introduced these. This also is considered a level 3. It does have retention screws, which actually it's that one in the front. This is probably one of the most difficult holsters I've ever had to try to use. I'm not a huge fan of the Safariland Raptor holsters, but essentially it's actually supposed to replace the SS3. Okay, when you put it in, it automatically locks it. Okay, and then you have the hood, the SLS hood, so it's got multiple safeties on there. This one you have to push the hood down, hit this little button here, put that button, and then you have to rock it to get it out. Okay, and then when you put it in, it automatically locks in, and then you got the hood on top of that. But you literally have to push that down, hit this lever, rock it, get it out. So it's almost like an SS3 because you got two external safeties, and you still have to rock it to get it out. So it's almost like the SS3. It's just a different, almost kind of like a different, newer version of it. It's more difficult. I think it took a little time.
So that one also has the passive ejection port, and that's why you're having to rock back.
Yeah, this one you cannot pull it out. Even if you hit that, it hits the ejection port. Okay. Now they have Raptors that don't have this button on it, where it has the hood and it has the internal hood passive retention on it. So even if you didn't have this on those holsters, you still have to literally rock it back to get it out. Okay, but like I said, it's kind of like an SS3. You can't do both these at the same time like you can an SS3. So it's not. This is a very difficult holster to master to me. It's almost got too much retention on it because it's like you still got to be able to get the gun out in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
My department I'm with right now, they used to issue these. They used to carry Glock 21s, and this was the standard issue holster with the old Chief. I'm not a huge fan of the Raptors. That's nothing personal. Safariland makes good stuff. I'm just not hip on that holster. This is actually a different one too. This is a Bianchi. Bianchi, from what I understand, isn't making duty leather anymore, which is a really shame because they made some really good gear. They got bought out by Safariland, so now they're part of Safariland. They're mainly just doing undercover stuff and regular leather gear. Now, one thing Bianchi has that I love,
the wedge.
Yeah, they have the what they call the ErgoTech pillow, and this has it as well, which is the reason why I like this holster. I like this holster too, is that pillow rests up against your hip, so this doesn't dig in your hip all day, which is a great idea. I don't know why anybody else hasn't picked this up. Because the new Safariland shanks, they suck. I hate them. I can't stand them because they dig into your hip. And they're bad about it. I mean, just because I'm a big guy. But I know people that are skinny that still have the same problem with those. But anyways, this would be considered a level 2 holster, okay? When you put it in, it has an internal, that lock right there locks into the trigger guard. And then you got a regular snap safety. Okay? So for this one to disengage, you get this gun out, you have to hit this. Or the way I used to draw with it, hit this first, snap it, and pull it out. But the great thing about these newer holsters is when I put it in, it's locked. So I don't have to worry about snapping it. It's automatically locked, and if I had to get out again, just hit that one release. That's a great thing about the newer holsters is the fact that they're designing them so that way if you had to reholster in a hurry, you just reholster and they're already locked in there, which is a great idea because that way if you're struggling with somebody, as long as you get in the holster, it's secured. That's the main thing you want. You want to try to get it secured as fast as you can. Okay, now I'm going to show you my last duty one before I got the light for my gun. This is a very, very popular Black Hawk Serpa. Okay, this is the level 3 Serpa. Okay, and basically how you do this one, it's easy. Like I said, like a lot of the newer holsters, it goes in, it automatically locks. Okay, you have the finger, you have a finger lever that you have to hit to disengage, and you also have a top hood that you have to disengage. Now this also has that pinch retention, which I think is about worthless, but it's considered retention. So that's level 1, that's level 2, that's number 3. So this is a level 3. Okay, because you got the pinch retention, you have this, and you have this that you have to disengage to get the gun out. Okay, therefore that makes it a level 3. It's kind of hard to describe this, it's easier just to show you.
And Black Hawk does make a Serpa level 2.
Yes.
That doesn't have the rotating hood on it.
Yeah, and they also have a Serpa holster that has the light on it, which is basically it's the Serpa with the light bearing holster. The only problem with that one is you have to specifically have the Xiphus light for that to work, because the Xiphus light has to offset because of this lock. And that's the reason why, like for a lefty, mine would be off to the right. For righty, it's off to the left, because it has to clear this safety for it to work. But like I said, and like the great thing about this holster, it automatically locks when you secure it. Okay, that'd be considered a level 3, because you got this, and the retention screw. Okay. Okay, this is actually just a standard ALS holster from Safariland. Safariland locks a little different. This thing, that's all you have to do to lock it into place. Basically, it's Safariland. This is considered a level 2 as well, because you have a pinch retention screw right there, which, like I said, on these, I tighten them down. And essentially, you have this little lever. To get it out, you hit that lever and it automatically comes out, but when you holster, it's automatically locked. Okay. Basically what it is theirs locks in on the port, on the top of the hood, whereas the Epic, which I'm going to explain here in a second, locks on the side. So that's the main difference between the two. Now the nice thing about the Safariland ones, as opposed to the Epic, is as you can see, it works without the light. The Epic will not. Okay. There's a little piece here on the end, which I can't show you. But basically, there's a little piece that has a little piece that sticks up, and what it does is it goes into the barrel. So that way you can use the Safariland holsters without the light. That's really how they do it, is they have a little piece in there that goes into the barrel and essentially holds the gun up. And that's what keeps it in there, so you don't, you can holster without the light. Okay? But that's considered a level 2 because of that and the pinch retention. That'd be a level 2. Okay, now I'm going to get to the Epic, because we definitely get a lot of questions on the Epic. Okay? This is considered a level 3, okay? You basically have the pinch retention screw in the front. Okay, that's considered level 1. Okay, when you put the gun here, actually I gotta show you with this other one, that's not gonna work on that. Okay, what you're gonna do is when you put this in, it automatically locks into the ejection port on the side of the ejection port, whereas the Safariland locks in the top, the Black Hawk locks in the side. Okay. This one will not work without the light on it. Okay, now you also have the hood. Okay, so the hood is considered one locking mechanism, the port's considered another locking mechanism, and they consider the retention screw the third, so that's why it's a level 3. Okay, now to deactivate it, that's the passive retention. This one and the side one are considered active. This one, all you got to do is you push that down, it deactivates the hood, and it deactivates the retention on the side, and that's how you can pull it out. Like the other ones, like a lot of the newer holster, it's designed, when you put it in, it locks in. Or like say, if you're going up on a traffic stop, like I normally like to do, I keep the hood off just in case I need to eject quick. Like on a traffic stop, you can actually have the hood up, and it's still locked in there, and all you got to do is just push it back down, and it'll release the gun. Okay, but it'll lock on that. I see a lot of times guys just don't put the hood back down. I'll see them walking around like this all day, But the gun's still secured, and that's the main thing. And you literally could take the hood off, and this thing would still be secured. Okay, but essentially that's just a small little description of some different holsters concerning retention, different types of retention. Basically, like I said, if you're a police officer, check with your agency, because some agencies give you a holster. You don't have a choice. I've worked for agencies where they mandate you have to have a minimum level 2 holster, and then like where I work now, my chief pretty much let me carry whatever holster I want as long as I buy it, and I can draw from it. So if you're an officer, make sure you check with your agency before you go out and start spending, because some of these holsters, like a good SS3 holster, these things running like $150 right now. They're really, that's 150 bucks sitting right there. So make sure your department will allow you to carry it before you go out and buy one of these things, because that's a lot of money to, you know, put out on your own, which I believe in. I like buying my own gear. But anyways, I'm Officer Bosco, and hopefully that'll kind of explain some of the stuff concerning retention holsters, or give you guys, ask a lot of questions about holsters, maybe give you a little bit more information. We're always available for questions. Always shoot us a question. You know, if we'll try to answer it as best we can if we can. And hopefully that'll help you guys out. And if you're selecting holster, hopefully this will help you out a little bit. I'm Officer Bosco. Come back to Police 10-8 Talk, and remember to be safe and watch your six.